Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Planning Board meeting, September 14th, 7 p.m. This is a continuation from the meeting originally scheduled for last night, September 13th. The meeting was continued in its entirety until tonight. First, going to read a message as this meeting tonight is in hybrid mode. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting of the Sutton Planning Board is in hybrid format with both in-person and Zoom components. To join the meeting, visit www.zoom.us/join and enter meeting ID 852-8940-0585 and passcode 725232. This meeting will not be available live or being live streamed, so if you'd like to join the meeting, you'll have to join it by the Zoom code. Thank you. The first order of business, we're going to do a roll call for the board members who are present and those that might be in the hybrid format. Those that are present here at the meeting in person, I'll go around the board. Carl Bergeson.
Carl Bergeson here.
Wally Baker.
Wally Baker present.
Bob Lodges.
Bob Lodges present.
Scott Paul.
Scott Paul here.
Michael Gagan present, and Bill Talcott.
Present.
Okay, Bill, you'll be serving as the associate as all the board members are here tonight.
Okay.
Thank you. The first public hearing scheduled for 7 p.m. is 23 Jones Road, a special permit for a retreat lot. Due to the fact that we read the meeting notice in its entirety last night, we're going to forgo reading the notice, and we're going to move into anyone who's here on behalf of the applicant who would like to speak. If you're on the Zoom call, please identify yourself, your name, and you can begin speaking. Thank you. Okay.
Evening, my name is
You're going to have to come up to the mic, please. Yeah.
I'm Pete Skatanis.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I believe this is Jen Hager, the Planning and Economic Development Director. I believe you also have Byron Andrews from Andrews Survey and Engineering available via Zoom. Should Mr. Skatanis wish him to walk through any of the technical issues of the plans.
Okay. If you'd like to give a little overview of the project, I have.
I was just trying to get permission to turn lot 23 Jones Road into a retreat lot because we didn't have enough frontage on the road. But we do have enough acreage in the lot.
Okay. Is there Mr. Andrews? You're on in the hybrid format. Would you like to add anything?
The plan is based on a recorded plan that we'd previously done, which it showed that parcel as parcel 3. The parcel was designed to be approved as a retreat lot. It has 240,001 square feet, 125,893 square feet of contiguous upland. The width at the front setback is 51.38 feet, and the frontage is 50.12 feet, and the minimum width is 50 feet.
Okay. Jen, you've pulled up a drawing here. Is that what we're seeing?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the plan that Byron Andrews just described, you see here. This is the proposed retreat lot along Jones Road. As you may recall, this parcel was formerly this larger parcel, as you see on the locus plan. And this is how it currently exists in its current form.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Andrews, at this point?
No, I have nothing else to add, but I can answer any questions if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we're gonna see if there's anybody here tonight in person that has any comments from the public on this proposal. Is there anybody out in Zoom land? If so, please raise your hand or begin speaking and we'll listen to your comments. Okay,
Don't see any hands.
doesn't appear to be, nope. Could one of the board members possibly read in the department comments at this point, if you could? There's a couple. Thank you.
Let's see, from the tax collector that says there are not any taxes due, which is important, so it can be on the agenda. From the Conservation Commission, on Lot 3, we agree with wetland line. We need to file with Conservation Commission to build. The applicant's aware of that. And that's all that we have from everyone else in town. Everyone's
Okay.
still waiting.
Thank you, Bob. Jen, our planning director, is not in person tonight. She's on the hybrid meeting. Jen, you want to add your comments at this time, or any thoughts?
Sure, I believe the board has my review memo, but if you want, we could just go over that briefly. Back. Okay. All right, can you see that okay? Review memo or just the plan?
Yes, we can see the memo down.
All right. So the first comment is that the applicant will need to file a revised plan, and we did receive one from Mr. Andrews, which is the plan you just saw. The first significant element that we just need to settle is a footnote. It's actually number 9, I believe. This is labeled 11, but I believe it's number 9 in our zoning bylaw, which if we blow that up there a little bit, no lot shall be considered buildable unless the building's well and septic system are located in contiguous upland acreage equal to at least 60%. The upland, this is the important part, the upland must be either directly accessible from the lot frontage or via alternate access approved by the planning board for a find in open meeting or common driveway. So you know that's usually if you're on a corner lot and you can come in from a different direction or via a common drive. So the first thing we need to decide, or the board needs to decide, is does the phrase upland must be directly accessible mean that you have to be able to step off the legal frontage, in this case on Johns Road, right into the 60% accessible uplands, or that you can get to, you just have to show that you can get to the required contiguous 60% accessible upland via, say, an approved wetland crossing, which is will be the case in this case. So that's the first thing the board needs to just discuss and put to bed. And then once we go over that, we can talk about the more minor issues. So thoughts on that? On directly accessible.
Okay, thank you. Any board members want to begin the discussion on that, please? If you
Well,
have any
I
comments.
would
Thank you,
think
Scott.
that this lot, or this house is gonna be built on this 200 by 200 foot square, and therefore that requires a wetland crossing to be approved, therefore it's accessible, should that be approved. Otherwise, it can't be built. So it doesn't need to be accessed, because there's no approval. for crossing the wetland. So to me, it doesn't matter where it's accessible from the public road, whether it's in the back of the retreat lot on 27 acres in the back and it's a mile in, and, you know, so be it. But, you know, as long as there's a permit or the approval is granted to cross that wetland.
Anyone else, Bob?
I feel the same, Scott. We were on the board years ago when we created these retreat lots that were going to allow access to be on 50 feet on the road, as long as we were creating a whole lot of open space and not force people to sell big tracts and have typical cookie cut housing in Sutton. So as long as the applicant is willing to spend the money, because he has to get the septic system, and it's going to be a different circumstance for this retreat lot, but if he's willing to do that, anyone should be able to build a house and work in that his lot, if you will. The spirit of the retreat lots and why we created it.
Can Bob put his microphone to the mouth?
Sorry about that.
That's
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll do better.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Kyle, any comments?
Yeah, just gonna mirror Scott. I mean, if conservation approves a wetland crossing here, then I would say that's direct access to the upland area, so just Concom's approval on that wetland crossing.
Okay. Wally?
I concur with
Okay.
Scott and Kyle and Bob. I would assume you have to get, or let me ask the question, conservation has to pass this
Right.
for the access. Is that correct, Jen?
It's up to the board whether they are comfortable granting an approval without any prior actual wetland crossing approval from Concom. You can certainly continue your hearing and wait for that to occur. Or if you're comfortable conditioning something, whether you would or would not be in this case, based on Scott's comments on, you know, if it's doable, you kind of get the permit. If it's not, then you don't get the permit. So that'll be up to you, whether you want it or you're comfortable with the condition, or whether you require that conservation approval for that crossing in advance of action.
Okay. Just so I understand it, Jen, the Conservation Commission approval has not been sought yet or granted, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, okay. Bill, any comments on?
Yeah, this footnote 11, it's not applicable just to retreat lots, it's applicable to all lots.
To any buildable lot.
Right, and we've seen, but isn't this not congruent to, basically everybody is allowed one wetland crossing, Jen? So we've had lots that that the structure is set in and it requires a wetland crossing to access.
Yes, we have. I'm just making sure we're all on the same page there. And in this case that you don't have that approval yet, so you have to kind of decide the timing as well. So in this case also, this lot and the two lots to the west of it were all formerly one parcel. So you are allowed up to one wetland crossing if you can actually physically and monetarily make it happen. I don't believe there are crossings on the other two lots. Maybe Mr. Skitanis or Mr. Andrews can just verify that. I don't believe there are. This would be potentially the only crossing. So dividing up a big parcel into multiple parcels doesn't then give you 3 crossings. You still only have the ability, the Concom doesn't have to grant you more than 1.
But as a precedent, I mean, this happens all the time.
I have recalled several cases where it has happened, yes. Not so much on, I really wasn't certain on retreat lots. So I really wanted us to just pin that down and be very clear, and then basically our precedent will be set as we move forward.
I will agree. I can't remember a case on a retreat lot, but
But like you said, the footnote does apply to any buildable lot.
right.
Okay. So at this point, Jen, it appears that the board, you know, does favor that the wetland crossing would be appropriate here.
Does. Okay, and that would qualify as direct access. Okay, so great. So that is handled. So let's go on. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. Yikes. Technical difficulties. This one, I believe, is where we are. Share. All right, so there's the plan. And okay, so we're all set with that comment. I just pointed out, and there needs to be a notation on the plan and a clear understanding that you must have underground utilities, not for anybody's convenience, even the convenience of it being an easier engineering task if you can go overground and or of course less expensive. So I'm just making sure that's very clear. Due to past discrepancies, particularly on this lot with wetland delineation, it is good to have conservation's note that they're in agreement with the delineation location, but the note on who did the delineation and when they did that should be added to the plan. The covenant notation needs to be on the plan, and the notation about the driveway in the lease not exceeding 12% also needs to be on the plan because the elevation on this lot rises over 40 feet from the frontage of the lot into the part of the lot where it opens up to a buildable area. So I want to make sure everybody's very clear that this is not buildable without a 12% or less driveway. I did provide Mr. Skitanis and Mr. Andrews a few other comments on the plan that you saw that was submitted in terms of Form A compliance, because as you know, if this lot is approved after the appeal period runs, they will bring this plan in to have the non-buildable note removed, to have it labeled as a retreat lot, add the covenant footnote, and then get it endorsed and recorded along with the approval in the covenant. So there were a few comments about some abutters that need to be corrected, some discrepancies between lot layout on this plan and on the town's website, and just a few other relatively minor comments. So I am comfortable with those just being required to be corrected prior to any endorsement, unless the board feels strongly they should be corrected now. That's all I've got.
Okay, Jen. So is one of the questions regarding the Conservation Commission approval being required, would that possibly be a minimum condition of approval? Or we could work that either way. Is that how it goes with that, Jen?
Yes, you could either just continue the hearing out as far as you need to do that to have the applicant secure permission to cross the wetlands so that you are clear that access is actually achievable, or you could do a condition of approval. Of course, as soon as you do the condition of approval, the appeal period starts running, and then the permit will get recorded, the covenant will get recorded, the plan will get recorded. And then you have something on the record. And then if Conservation Commission doesn't approve the crossing or can't for any reason, then you've got some paperwork on file that probably shouldn't be on file. But maybe Mr. Andrews can comment on, you know, all we can see are wetland lines on this plan. We don't know the nature of what's actually out there on the ground and the likelihood that a crossing can be achieved. So maybe he could comment on that.
If you look on the plan, the breadth of the wetland area that needs to be crossed is such that we can achieve the wetland crossing. I'm virtually certain with a 5,000 square feet or less of disturbance, which keeps it as a limited project. So we don't foresee any problems with the wetland crossing. Of course, that would be up to conservation when we file the notice of intent.
What
Is it
about the-
correct,
Ooh.
Byron? It looks like it's about 50 feet, roughly 50 to 60 feet.
That's correct.
Byron, what about the grade? Is it, think you can meet the grade for the driveway? Is that achievable also?
Well, we'll have to take a look at the existing grade out there and have one of our engineers look at what we can do for cut and fill there. And we can certainly do that before the appeal period expires, if that's a requirement. We may have that information in-house already, but I wasn't looking at the topography at the time that we prepared the lot configuration. So I'm not precisely sure exactly what the grade change is and how much of a run out we have for it.
Like,
Okay, Bill, you have a comment back?
and is the applicant looking for relief from the underground utilities at this time?
That would probably be something for Mr. Skatanis to answer. I'm not sure if that was something that he was looking for.
Well, on a retreat lot, from the road to the structures requires underground utilities, everything underground.
Right.
Now, we had a retreat lot on Boston Road somewhere where it was basically cost prohibitive to put the underground utilities. I believe it was wetlands or rock or whatever it was. So maybe someone from the board can help me out. Did we okay to go above ground to get over that? Does anybody remember this?
I think we have in some cases done stuff like that,
Underground till we hit the,
and then come over.
then up and over and then down again.
Yeah.
I'm sure conservation would appreciate less disturbance in the wetland.
I built a house on off of Mendon Road, the Cone residence, and we put poles in to make, we had a conservation wetlands crossing there. We put some poles in, and then we went underground for the rest of the way. So, and that was about 1,200 feet
Really?
in from the road, so.
Okay.
So do we,
To answer Bill's, I think if I get the question right, the utilities are supposed to be underground. Sometimes it's really not about the money, it's the fact that physically can't be underground because of
Right.
something that's
Because of
geography,
ledge,
like stone. So, but that's when we said you can go up and over, but as soon as you get past that spot, you go back down into the ground, because
Right.
the trade-off for the small frontage was no telephone poles walking.
Right.
And that's, so as you move forward on this, unless there's something, geography that says you can't possibly be underground, you're supposed to be underground. And it's not about the money, it's gotta be underground.
maybe
If that helps to answer your question.
leave the public hearing open till that gets addressed, or, maybe it's not gonna be an issue, I don't know. That's up to the applicant.
So it looks like at this point, the board has to kind of decide whether
Yeah.
to continue the hearing until the Conservation Commission does the approval, or to put it in as a minimum condition of approval and pass it along. So any comments on that before,
I'd be willing to act on this. Number 2 says approval of all applicable boards, departments, and commissions, especially conservation, are gonna have to say yes to this, so. We can do our part, conservation is gonna have to say yes, it's all not gonna work without conservation.
Right.
okay.
Yep.
So then, would you like to entertain a motion with the minimum conditions of approval read in by someone? You could.
So as we're proving here, okay, so. Special permit, okay, make a motion that we approve this retreat lot with the minimum conditions in place, especially that Conservation Commission grants approval for the wetland crossing. Minimum conditions being a recorded copy of the decision, covenant, and plan must be received by the planning department within 3 months. Approval of all other applicable boards, departments, and commissions, especially the Conservation Commission. 3, the driveway shall have a maximum grade of 12% and minimum paved width of 12 feet. Width of 12-foot width and 15-foot cleared width. The house number shall be clearly visible at the street in both directions of travel. 5, underground utilities shall be provided on this retreat lot unless the planning board makes findings in open meeting that underground utilities are not practical due to extreme topographical or environmental constraints and or safety issues. Above ground utilities shall not be allowed solely for the convenience and or preference of a petitioner. 6, no occupancy permits shall be granted until all conditions and requirements of this bylaw are 100% complete. And I believe we had one more that the changes need to be made before an endorsement to the plan is made that Jen listed out.
Okay. Thank you.
Second.
Second by Bob, thank you. We're gonna take a vote on this. Wally,
Wally Baker votes aye.
okay, Kyle,
Kyle Bergeson, aye.
Mike Egan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
Scott,
Scott Paul, aye.
okay. Vote passes 5-0-0.
Good.
Okay.
Close it.
Thank you. We're gonna have a motion to close this hearing
Make a motion that we close this.
I'll second that.
by Bob Lodges, seconded by Kyle. Again, Wally Baker,
Wally Baker, aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergeson, aye.
okay, Mike Egan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
board votes 5-0-0 to close this hearing. Thank you. Best of luck with your project.
Thank you.
Here.
We are now moving on to our second hearing of the night, 7:15 planning board time. It's a bylaw hearing. The hearing notice was read in last night, so we don't have to go through the entire notice. But we're gonna begin by discussing each of the points of the bylaws. Part 1 is to amend section 6P, registered marijuana businesses, to note that they are now allowed in the office light industrial district per the town meeting vote earlier this year. Is there any comments? Anybody out in the public that wants to make a comment on this section? Jen? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, yep.
All right, I've shared the bylaws to the screen, and this, as we've talked about at past meetings, is literally a housekeeping article. It's just when town meeting voted to allow registered marijuana businesses within the OLI, we just forgot to add reference to that in this section. So it's strictly housekeeping.
Okay.
So we could have or should have done this prior to.
We should have, yes, absolutely. So now, as required by law, the board needs to give their recommendation on each of the articles at the hearing tonight. So you just need to decide whether you want to do that now or if you want to do that all at once at the end.
Okay.
I think we can make a recommendation as we go through. just
Yeah,
so
I
if we
think
have
we'll
anything wrong.
we'll begin.
Now, do
with
we need a formal motion to make a recommendation, Jen?
Yes, so the motion usually takes the form of to recommend that town meeting vote to approve this article.
So I make a motion for town meeting to recommend, or for the planning board to recommend that town meeting vote in favor of this article.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Scott. Thank you, Scott. We'll take a vote on this at this point. Wally,
Wally Baker, aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergeson, aye.
okay. Mike Gagan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
okay. The motion to recommend this article passes 5-0-0. The second one is to amend section 348, table 1, table of use regulations by deleting F5, trucking services and warehousing, as well as section 1B, definitions, by deleting the definition of trucking services and renumber accordingly where applicable. Jen, any comments on this?
Yeah, you may recall this use term and this definition caused a great deal of consternation over past years. It was broadly interpreted and then narrowly interpreted. And what we did at Maytown meeting was we established a whole bunch of definitions and new uses that pulled this use term apart and more clearly and carefully defined those. We left this particular one in just to make sure we were covered depending on what town meeting did or didn't do in May. Now that everything has been adopted per the Maytown meeting and the Attorney General has approved those changes, this is in effect another housekeeping article to just eliminate this use term and definition that previously caused confusion.
Okay, any board comments on this at this time? No? Okay, then we could entertain a motion to
Any
recommend.
Public comments?
I'm sorry, anyone in the public on this issue would like to speak? Anybody on the Zoom call would like to have any comments, please raise your hand to speak out. Okay,
Okay.
hearing none.
I'll make a motion that the planning board vote to recommend town meeting, vote in favor of this at town meeting.
Okay, can we have a second on this motion? Second by Wally, thank you, Wally. We're gonna have a vote. Wally?
Molly Baker, aye.
Okay. Kyle?
Kyle Bergerson, aye.
Okay. Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Okay. This recommendation passes 5-0-0. Thank you. Moving on to number 3. Amend sections 6A, condominium development, and 7A, special permits by deleting provisions that require construction, substantial performance, use to commence within a specific period of time, less than the 2 years required by other bylaw provisions. Again, Jen, can you give any comments on this particular one?
Article C, you'll remember, is the construction requirement. So the bylaws already require that you have to use your permit within 2 years or your permit's no good anymore. Then we saw these additional provisions that not only require you to use your permit in 2 years, that you really need to get going within 6 months per one bylaw and 12 months per another bylaw. And we were reading this kind of the same way, or your permit's not good anymore. That is what the first one says, but that is not what the second one says. And this is something town council pointed out to me when they were reviewing it. So this one can go away, no problem, because it basically says we're going to revoke your permit if you're not going on it within 6 months. So that's directly in conflict with the 2-year provision. However, if you read this second one, construction or operations under a special permit shall conform to any subsequent amendment of the zoning bylaw unless you commence with a period of 12 months. So this says something different. It just says you need to get going within 12 months, or if we change the bylaw, you have to meet the new terms of the bylaw. So we can't eliminate this even if we want to. I did attach to your, I thought I asked something be attached. Let me just see if it's back there. An excerpt of Mass General Law that shows you this language actually exists within Mass General Law. So we have to keep this second provision, and it should be kept within this section 7A 2D, which is where the general special permit provisions are kept, where we're proposing to keep that 2-year limitation. So on Article C, based on the additional input of council, I would recommend that the board recommend this article, but only that section 6A 10B be eliminated, and that the other section remains standing because it has to by law, and does not, it doesn't make a permit invalid after 12 months. It just says, you know, you need to get going. And if you don't, if we change any provision of your bylaw that affects you, you're going to need to conform to that new provision. So So that is my recommendation on C based on the additional input of town council.
Okay, thank you, Jen. Any comments from the public at this point? Either in person or in Zoom world?
That's Jen's recommendation for us to recommend.
Any board comments at this point on this? Okay. Do we want to, Scott?
I'll make
anything? You all set?
motion.
Okay, so
I'll
do we
make-
want to have a motion here to
I'll make a
recommend it?
motion that planning board recommend Article C be presented at town meeting, eliminating the verbiage designated as 6A10.B, but leaving in the language for section 7A2.D.
I must have confused you because we need to do just the opposite. So we want to eliminate D, but yes, keep in D. Is that what you meant?
I thought that's what I said.
Okay, all right. I know what you mean, so I will redraft the article so the second part disappears.
Yes,
In other words, everything after the word A and D is to be left in. Right, we have B, section B, we're eliminating, section D, we're leaving in.
No,
we
we're
might need to
doing just the
clarify that, because I think it's just the opposite. We're keeping B,
Keeping
eliminating
B,
D.
eliminating D.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's my motion.
second,
Oh, okay, wait a minute. This section is going away. B.
yeah,
B as in Bravo.
Going away from the bylaw or going away from the article?
It's going away from the bylaw.
Okay. Yes.
This
So
one's,
I think you're both right in your
That's what I
Okay.
understood.
confusing
one of us
each
is
other.
talking about the bylaw, one of us is talking about the article.
Exactly.
All right, we're on the same page.
Okay, great. Can we have a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Carl. We're gonna have a vote on this motion. Wally,
Wally Baker, aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergson, aye.
okay, Mike Gagan, aye, Bob,
Aye.
and Scott.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you. We're gonna move on to the next one. It's number 4, amend services, 6E, open space residential development, and 6F, traditional neighborhood development, by deleting the provisions within each of these sections that specify the special permit will lapse if it is not used within 2 years. Jen?
All right. These special permits will still lapse if they're not used within 2 years, but this general special permit provision will only be, that will be contained just in this section, the administrative special permit section, and apply to every special permit granted within the town of Sutton. So we're pulling out the mention of this from individual special permit provisions and just putting it in one place so all the bylaws are consistent, or slowly but surely will be more consistent in their format. So housekeeping.
Okay, thank you. Any comments out in the public in-house? Any comments in the public on the Zoom call? Okay. Hearing now, we'll ask any board members, any comments at this point? If not, someone wants to make the motion?
Make a motion that the planning board recommend Article 4 to town meeting.
Second,
Second by Wally, okay, thank you. We're gonna take a vote on this. Wally,
aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergson, aye.
Mike Gagan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Okay, the recommendation on this motion passes 5-0-0. Thank you. Moving on to number 5. Amend section 6C, home business, to specify the special permit will be automatically renewed beyond the initial 3-year permit term if certain conditions are met. Jen?
You'll recall in our past discussions, we wanted this one to be as permissive as the, I think it was the adult use bylaw that these two permits have to be renewed. They're only good for 3 years, but unless there's an issue, they'll be automatically renewed. They just need to submit a letter, and if there's no issues, they get approval. So didn't want it to be harder to get a renewal on a home business than it was to get an adult use renewal. So
Okay.
that's that.
Thank you. Any comments from the public in-house? No? Not seeing any comments from the public on the Zoom call? Okay. Not hearing none. Any comments by the other board members? No? Okay, we could entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion, we recommend Article E as written.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Gonna take a vote. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Kyle Burson, aye.
Okay, Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. The next one, number 6, amend section 3, 4.A, table 1, table of use regulations, and section 6P3, registered marijuana businesses, to remove the town-wide prohibition on marijuana retailers and allow non-medicinal marijuana retailers in the village districts. There's a citizen's petition. Jen?
Hi, all right, so Mr. Neil McLaughlin sponsored a citizen's petition to allow retail marijuana establishments within the village district. He has since reconsidered. I don't know if he's there tonight. He thought he might be, but he has since reconsidered, and he will not be making this motion on town meeting floor unless somebody else makes a motion. The article will likely just get passed over. I would still recommend that the board make a recommendation on this just in case there is any kind of motion made on the floor. So if Mr. McLaughlin is not there, again, he has reconsidered and will not be sponsoring the article. And we can't withdraw it because every person who signed the petition would have to sign basically another piece of paper that says they're withdrawing their support, which is very difficult.
I don't see Mr. McLaughlin here in person. Is he possibly on the Zoom call? If he is, he could speak at this moment.
I do not see him present.
Okay. Okay, do we have any comments from the public in-house here on this? Hi, please step up to the mic and identify yourself and share your comments.
Thank you very much. My name is John Hebert. I reside at 23 Singletary Ave in Sutton. This month I'll be there 71 years. So I guess I qualify in saying I'm either a Suttonian or a Suttonite. But I wanted to come before you folks tonight because I've heard there was a citizen's petition on a marijuana article in the village of Wilkinsonville by Neil McLaughlin, now doing business as Magic Transmission and transforming that building over to a dispensary. Well, I'm here, and I greatly oppose this type of establishment. Now, I'm not against marijuana, but I am against it in the village of Wilkinsonville, and I want to tell you why. Approximately 5 years ago, we had two locations in Sutton, one on Gilmore Drive and one on John Road. And this is when it was all relatively new to not only the town of Sutton, but to the Blackstone Valley, Worcester County, and the state of Massachusetts. Since then, there was a dispensary that opened in Agawam, and another one in Leicester. And if you can't recall, I can. There was droves of people being bussed in to the Leicester operation. There was a lot of confusion up there, and they made so much on the site that the local bank had to refuse money coming in because they were over their limit. That was then. It was quite the subject back then. But folks, you don't hear of that anymore today. And the reason is our area is saturated with marijuana dispensaries. Alone in Worcester, approximately there's between 15 and 30 dispensaries. In the Blackstone Valley, every town that's attached to Sutton probably has one of these establishments. Now, anyone that wants a substance, like I said, I'm not against it. They can either travel 5 minutes or 2 miles and pick up whatever product that they want. And back then, 5 years ago, the adage was, wow, look at the money that the towns are going to make. Look at the money that's out there. Well, folks, on a $50 sale of marijuana, the state gets approximately 70% of the sales tax. The owner gets the rest, and the town gets a measly gross revenue at the end of the year, approximately 3%. Gentlemen, that's not a heck of a lot of money for the aggravation we're going to have in this town. Plus the location of it, it's near a dance studio, it's near a playground, and it's near a child learning center. So I don't think that the bylaws adhere to what Mr. McLaughlin wanted. And every one of the petitioners, they're not going to make any money. Who's going to make the money? Now, we want to coincide this with our town, if I may. I'm proud to be here in Sutton because I think we're one cut above. And the reason why I say that, there's many things that contribute to our great little town. Number one is we have a AA plus bond rating. Towns die to get that. But with the Department of Revenue and our excellent financial team, led by our town manager, Board of Assessors, tax collector, town accountant, we've been able to strive and hold on to that AA plus bond rating. That allows the town of Sutton, if need be, to borrow money at the lowest common denominator possible for buildings or equipment. But we also have in this town, as I speak, I think I'm correct, of $2.7 million in rainy day money that can be used for helping out situations in our town. And then a lot of the TIFs that we've given out over the years, they're going to come, they're starting to roll off now, where the town's making more of the percentages of the TIFs. And the development alone in the Wilkinsonville district is going to surpass anything we've ever imagined. And right now, we're self-sustainable for 5+ years. And just one little comment before I close. You know, folks, we have a school district. It's all in one campus, from preschool to 12th grade. We offer the best AP courses that any one of our students can go to any one of the colleges and get accepted. What town wouldn't want something like that? We've just completed a $8.4 million police station at the old Blue Jay Lobster Pond lot, which is self-sustainable and all alone, just police, but it's right in the direct center of access to any part of Sutton. So I know this petition was going to be either passed over or put on hold. And I, for one, we had 2 before, and we didn't accept them in. Like I said, anyone that needs this product, which I'm not against, either 5 minutes or 2 miles, have a day, go get whatever they want. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John, for your comments. Appreciate it. Anyone else in the public, in person here like to speak on this? Anybody in the Zoom world, from the public, like to make any comments? Okay. Jen, do you have any additional comments on this yourself at this point? Are you?
No, I just wanted to be clear that the article that's proposed was to allow the use anywhere within any village district. So it could be on any lot in Wilkinsonville, any lot in Manchog, that complied with the town's bylaws and state regulations. As Mr. Hebert pointed out, with the location of the playgrounds, dance studios, other child-related things in Wilkinsonville, I believe that is why Mr. McLaughlin decided to withdraw his support of it, because it wouldn't have worked out in the end for him personally anyways. But if it were to move forward, it's in both of our village districts and on any parcel, not one specific parcel.
Okay, thank you. I do have one question for you, Jen.
Mhm.
You know, I see on our list of articles, you know, there's not a separate article for this issue. Is that because it was withdrawn, or?
No, it's because it was petitioned separately. So I did ask our secretary to give you guys a copy of that. I don't know if she put that in your places, but
Yes.
there's basically a petition. So that petition turns into an article on the warrant through the town clerk's office and the Board of Selectmen's office.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that is on the draft warrant, that article. And so, like I said, if no motion is made, I believe we'll just pass over the article and the board won't be required to do any kind of recommendation or anything. But
So if the motion is made, Jen, it would be to recommend the article moves forward?
no, it could be either. It could
Okay.
be,
To
you could
pass.
recommend that town meeting approve the article,
Okay.
or recommend that town meeting disapprove the article,
Okay.
whichever you wish.
Okay.
And again, it may be required on the floor, it may not be, but anybody could stand up and still make the motion, even though it's my understanding Mr. McLaughlin does not intend to do so.
And
Okay.
at this point, we're not the sponsor of this article, so we don't have to say anything. If nobody moves it, it doesn't move. But if it does get moved, then we would have a response if we voted tonight to support or not support it.
Okay.
That's as I understand it.
Any other?
I have a-
Go ahead, Bill.
I just have a question for our esteemed planning coordinator. In the bylaw, I was just perusing them. Is there and I don't see it in there, but I'm curious whether there is a limit on the size of any business in the village zoning district?
They're limited only by lot coverage.
Right,
So-
lot coverage, or if it's a restaurant, the size for the drive-through, but other than
Right.
that, if you had
Otherwise,
if you
no.
had a big enough lot, you could have a pretty big building.
You could.
I don't know if there's any lots applicable that would be there, but you could combine them down the road, but,
Yeah.
Just a
There's
question.
not a lot of large lots there, but
right. And my other notice is, talking about these dispensaries, why is every billboard in Worcester County advertising a dispensary?
competition.
Right. Any other board members? Wally, anything?
Yes.
When I first,
Oh, yeah, oh, we have another member of the public. Please identify yourself as you get to the mic.
Robert Nonnemarker, 24 Singletary Ave. I think it's important that this board makes a recommendation not to pass this article. If you say nothing and this comes up at a town meeting and there's sufficient people there to pass it, it's going through. So the question is to you 6 people, do you recommend that the town go ahead and do this? And that you should say that, yes or no.
I think we should be prepared, Scott said.
Okay. Any other board member comments, Wally or Kyle or Bob? Yes.
Well-
Go ahead, Wally.
John brought up the point, since I do live in Wilkes, my first question when I saw this is, where is this gonna go? And I certainly understand where it is going, and we just spent, the citizens and a grant from the state just refurbished a playground over there, that every time you go by there, it's just swarming with kids. And it's not really that far away from that location, and then there's another, I don't know if it's daycare or whatever, right up the street. You know, so there's 2 places, and then you got the dance studio across the street. I don't know if it's still in operation, but, I mean, so there's a lot of kids in that neighborhood, and that whole playground is just re-enthused the neighborhood. I mean, unless it's really cold, really hot, somebody's there, or raining, something. So I don't think it's an appropriate location, and if we vote no, you know, that doesn't mean somebody else can't come up with a plan. We can see that plan and what it is and what the effect it would have on either Wilkinsonville or Manchog at that point in time. So there's not an open door to just come and do this.
Okay.
That's my,
Thank you, Wally. Kyle, anything?
So just on that, I believe Jen had brought up that we have provisions in our bylaw already there to protect the playgrounds and all that. I'm reading it here, 1,000 feet of the nearest church, school, licensed child care facility, public library, park, playground, playfield, youth center, or 500 feet from the nearest adult entertainment use is defined herein. So there are protections in certain cases like this in this area. This bylaw change isn't just for this one area. It's for all the village districts, and I know there's been discussion before when we were talking about moving the medical marijuana area to the OLI. Manchog Village District was brought up as a opportunity because it seemed like a good fit down there. Didn't have enough room for it down there. We didn't put it down there. I don't know. I'm not fully against it, but that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. Bob, any comments as well?
Well, I think the billboard, that everyone sees, it's getting crowded with people who invested in the marijuana business, that I know of, and it's getting very, very crowded. So there was a time, 5 or 8 or 10 years ago, it'd be smart to be in and be the first one in. That's when you'd make all the money for yourself and also towns. But I think the bus left the station, so I'm fully in support of using recreational marijuana or medical. That's a personal choice, but it's just not good. It's not going to do anything good for the town. It's a personal choice that you're going to make. it is very accessible to you. I support no right now,
Okay, thank you.
but pay attention. That can change.
Right. Yeah, I would kind of go along with the other sentiments, that, you know, it seems that the town in the past has, you know, been against the retail establishments. You know, I am a little conflicted in that, you know, this is a document, you know, a petition signed by a number of residents, but the fact that the main signature on it has dropped it itself would lend me to think that this is probably not the right time to open that up. So if we have any other comments, Jen, on your end, before we,
No,
Scott, he started off, you have any
Then I'll
thoughts?
make a motion
Okay,
that we not support this should it come up for presentation or consideration at town meeting.
okay. Have someone to second it?
Seconded.
Okay, we're gonna take a vote on this. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Kyle Bergeson, no.
Okay. Mike Gagan, aye. Bob? Scott?
Aye.
Okay. The motion passes 4-1-0 to not recommend this article. Okay. And with that, Jen, unless I've missed any, I believe those are all the issues for the bylaw changes.
just a motion to close.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to close this particular hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the bylaw changes.
Okay, Kyle, and second?
Second.
Second by Wally. Again, we'll do a vote. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Kyle Bergeson, aye.
Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Okay, motion to close is 5-0-0. The motion is closed. Thank you. We are now moving on to our third public hearing of the evening, 7:30 Planning Board time. This is for 16R Worcester Providence Turnpike, 12 John Road, 11 Deborah Drive, MIG Acton LLC, site plan and special permit. Is there anyone in the public or on the Zoom world that'd like to speak on this applicant's behalf?
Good evening, Malcolm Basie from Bowler Engineering in the Zoom world. I apologize, I can't be there in person this evening. I'm sure you remember we last met a couple weeks ago on the 23rd to review the application for the site plan special permit. At that time, we had received the planning comments and we had received our peer review comments that day. So there were a couple things for us to tweak on the plans to accommodate those, which we've since done and submitted to the planning board. I'll run through those real quick, just so the board can kind of remember what we had discussed. Jen, is there any chance I could be co-host to share screen, or?
Why don't I pull up the site plan and you tell me which ones you want to go to?
That sounds perfect. I should
All right.
post it anyways. I think that's
Hold on a moment. Okay.
if you want to go to sheet 4, that would work great. I think. Or sheet 5 rather.
Page 5. Special permit, page 5. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, thank you. So one of the comments from the peer review was actually one of Jen's comments, is something we discussed briefly with the board, was solid waste containers for the users, and we had indicated there would be one individual container for each user along the loading side or the front of the building, which we've shown on the updated plans. We've incorporated bollards between the enclosures in the building just to protect the building where those will be located. Another thing that we incorporated, it's not on this sheet, is we incorporated some plantings on that landscape island kind of at the top left corner of the building, kind of the view corridor from the driveway to those trash enclosures, just to break up the eye a little bit as you come through. It is an industrial building and industrial use, but just to help that view corridor. The bulk of the other comments from the peer review were pretty technical in nature. There was a request to put some additional erosion control barriers kind of intermediate to the slope to the northwest or left of the building on the plan, just to the slow runoff coming down as it comes through, which we were agreed with and added to the plans. They also asked for some quick drainage calculations for sizing of the proprietary hydrodynamic separator. Essentially, there's a treatment unit upgrading of the underground basin that we put in there for not only for treatment, but also having the treatment before the basin helps maintain the life of the basin. There's a calculation for sizing that, which we had provided to the board and to the peer review. And also just a minor grading comment regarding the cross slope of that driveway to the left of the building, which we tweaked just to lessen that cross slope. Comments that we kind of discussed at the last hearing included that the solid waste containers we had already discussed. Signage at the entry of the property. We had indicated that each tenant will probably want just some sort of identification sign there to indicate, that they're in the building. So we were not asking for any variance or relief or anything like that, but there will be some sort of ID sign. We made a note on the site plan just indicating that the size of the sign would be in accordance with the zoning section for it. We did provide some additional landscaping, not only at that corner of the building, but up at that one loading area or one lay down area that comes along the side of the driveway. Just again, the recommendation from the board is that a little something to break up that view corridor coming up, would be helpful. So that's where we decided to implement that, as we had discussed. The color of the building we indicated last time was brown stone. That wasn't actually on the architectural plan, so we updated the architectural plan that we submitted just to note that specifically, so that it was on record. I actually have a color chip of the color, which I was planning on bringing with me tonight, but unfortunately I'm virtual. But it's essentially it's a brown color that we had presented last time. The retaining wall at the top right of the plan, or I believe that's the northeast side, had extended a little bit into the building setback on that side. Reading the zoning definition, we kind of all agree that could be considered a structure. So what we did is we pulled it in out of the building setback and to accommodate the truck turning movements that would be required to load into the areas. We provided kind of circular turnaround so the truck could pull in, do a 180, and then back into the different loading areas. And last but not least, at the south of the page south of the plan, the southwest of the site, the septic system and associated kind of like mounding and grading had extended just into that 100-foot residential buffer, which we intended to maintain. So we reconfigured the septic system and the grading associated with it just to make sure we were maintaining that 100 natural vegetated buffer along that property boundary. Aside from that, the plans are essentially the same. Nothing real substantial or changed to the plan, but more or less just cleaned up these last items that we had discussed with the board and a few peer review comments. I think that covers the changes that we submitted, but I'd be happy to talk about anything in more detail if the board would like.
Thank you, Matt.
Matt,
Go ahead, Jen.
I just had one question, because we do have the landscaping here and we have the landscaping here. There is a significant grade change as you enter and kind of swing around to where the front of the buildings will be, not knowing who the clients will be. Is there a reason why you didn't screen this laydown area? Did you just not, from anybody kind of coming up and coming around to the entry part of the building?
Yeah, so we did take a look at that. So coming in the main entrance drive, you're probably 20 or so feet below that laydown area. So it's not really going to be a good visibility as you're coming in that way, and that'll be an area which will be kind of allowed to grow naturally. And then coming around that bend, you're still probably a few feet, except for that one area where the entrance drive is. So it didn't seem like a great opportunity to screen it. We wanted to be a little sensitive to Dawn. It is an industrial development. We didn't want to over landscape it, and thought the best value was that one area that will kind of clearly be visible as you pull in, kind of at the main entry as you're coming off John Road, and not that area that's kind of isolated it on top of that hill there.
Okay. I will pull up minimum conditions at some point should the board decide they want to act. And of course, we always have a standard condition that the board can require additional landscaping or screening if they think it's necessary post-construction to kind of achieve some desired screening. So, Mr. Chairman, just let me know if you want me to leave the plans up or if you wish me to pull them down so we can have discussion.
Okay, yeah, you can pull them down at this point, Jen, I think. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to make comments on this proposed project in person here? Anybody in the Zoom world that would like to make any comments?
You can raise a hand via Zoom or just unmute and say hello.
Okay.
I don't see anybody.
Okay. Any other comments by you, Jen, at this point?
No, I'm not sure when the final plans went to Graves. I didn't get them till, I don't know, late in the week. So I don't know, I don't know that well, we don't have a review letter, which means they didn't have time to review and respond. As Mr. Bowler pointed out, there's not significant issues left. Pretty much anything that's left could be corrected prior to plan endorsement. I'm fairly confident could be corrected prior to plan endorsement.
And Jen, if you keep calling me Mr. Bowler, I'm going to ask for a pay raise.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bombasi. I'm gonna mail you a hat anyways, Matt.
Yeah. Hey.
So if it pleases the board, I can show you some minimum conditions, or if you have any outstanding questions or comments.
Sure, well, any board members at this point? Bill?
Did we, I don't remember discussing, are there going to be any vehicles domiciled or registered in the town of Sutton associated with the project?
I believe Mr. Vogel can answer that question.
I can speak to that. Yes, we have a great amount of vehicles, and we have already let the town know that as the expirations of the registrations are up, we are going to register them all in Sutton. We've actually started the first one already. So Paul, our financial officer, just got a new car and it's registered in Sutton. I'll get a new car someday too, and it'll be there. But it's like the shoemaker. The kids don't have any shoes, so we'll move them all over as they expire. We've guaranteed the town that, and we've started that already. The amount of registrations we have, it's on record somewhere. I would be guessing wrong if I told you, but it's up there pretty. I don't know, 60, 70, I don't know.
The number of vehicles is 60 to 70. They total about $10,500 in the town of Acton right now, annually.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Any other comments from the board members?
I'm looking forward for you to move to Sutton. Anything that I can do as a planning board member to move this forward, I'm ready to go.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Scott, anything?
So, just in looking at the architecturals, there's 5 bays being built in this building. How many is MIG gonna occupy?
Yes, I'll speak to that. We will be occupying 1, possibly 2, and we will be renting out definitely 3 and maybe 4. So 1 is kind of iffy as to which way we're going to go right now.
Okay.
Anything else, Scott? You all set for that?
No, I
Okay.
just was curious.
Anyone
on
else?
that.
Wally or Kyle, anything? No?
No.
Okay. Jen, could you possibly show those minimum conditions up? Because
Absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
seem to have them on paper.
All righty. Okay, so this is what I proposed for minimum conditions, so let's read through them. All right, within a month of the appeal period concluding, the applicant shall provide a final set of plans with waivers granted and conditions of approval on the plan set for the board's endorsement as the record set of plans on which construction shall be based. And that includes the architectural plans that still don't have a signature block on them, so that needs to be added. Prior to endorsement of the final plans, the applicant shall indicate the southwestern turning area as required by the fire department on the plan. Construction shall be limited. Now, some of these I've just mirrored on our most recent approval, so the board can change these if they feel appropriate. Monday through Friday, 7 to 7, Saturdays, 7 to 4, shall exclude Sundays and the following holidays. There's the list. From November to April 1st, equipment may be started at 6:30 a.m., but no construction may commence until 7 a.m. So this we instituted down on Blackstone Logistics Center. This does back up to a residential area, but it's really no closer than Blackstone Logistics residences across the street. So if you're comfortable with this, we'll leave it. If you want to shorten up Saturday hours or weekday hours, we can do that. If you think we should add in holidays, let me know. During any construction, the applicant shall maintain all feasible and reasonable means of dust control and shall collect all debris daily. The applicant shall implement measures to ensure that noise during construction does not exceed acceptable levels as set forth by federal, state regulatory agencies. The applicant shall cease any excessively loud construction activities when directed by a duly appointed agent of the board. No excessively loud activities are permitted prior to 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. The board reserves the right to review the landscaping within a year of installation for the purpose of adding plantings to screen materials, which may be reasonably necessary to complete the aesthetics and the screening. The board reserves the right to review lighting, should earth need to be removed from the site. So if you're actually going to take earth off the site, not just cut and fill, if you go over 300 cubic yards or you think you're going to, you need to at least apply for an earth removal exemption, if not a permit. We can walk you through that if need be. So that's cut and fill is fine. But once you need to pull off 300 cubic yards or more, you have to get the appropriate waiver or approval. Once subsequent tenants are known, a written statement of the proposed users and their operational characteristics shall be submitted to the planning board to determine if site plan review is necessary. Again, your original application was just for you. So as you get ready with each tenant, as you're pretty sure who it's going to be, have them put something in writing, get it into the office. I can review it myself and or with the chairman, and we can determine whether it needs any additional permitting. And that's every time a tenant changes. All required approvals and or permits shall be received from applicable permitting authorities. Pre-construction meetings shall be held. The applicant will provide a minimum 1 week's notice to review stake limits of clearing with the planning board rep. Prior to issuance of sign permits, you have to submit the actual sign detail, get it approved. Prior to certificate of occupancy, all security systems and any amplifiers shall be installed as required by the police and fire chiefs. Prior to issuance of an occupancy on any building, you have to submit an as-built plan, get that approved, along with the engineer's statement about substantial construction, substantially in accordance with the plan. You're going to need to do a Knox box on your building. All exterior doors, roof entrances, all of those need to be numbered in accordance with fire department regulations. You will properly ensure maintenance of plantings on site, including the immediate replacement of dead or diseased, unless it's winter or summer, in which case immediately in the following planting season. You are in a groundwater, partially within a groundwater protection district, so you cannot use sodium-based de-icing agents on the site. So you're going to be using potassium chloride or other acceptable de-icing agent. And then you have to submit and have approved an operation and maintenance plan for the site drainage systems. You have to do inspections in accordance with that plan and make sure you submit a copy of all required inspections to the planning board for your file annually. That's what I've got.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Okay.
So at this time, the board, any additional comments, or would somebody like to make a motion to
I'll
have?
make that motion.
Okay,
We have a groundwater protection district special permit and site plan approval.
so these would be two separate motion and votes, Jen?
So you can do them together or
We can do them
separately.
together, okay.
One big one.
So, Bob, you made the motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Who was it, Wally? Okay, thank you, Wally. Okay, we're gonna take, and this is with the minimal conditions added, obviously, and we don't have to reread them again, as Jen did such a good job, thank you, Jen. We're gonna take a vote at this time, Wally,
Wally Baker, aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergson, aye.
okay, Mike Gagan, aye, Bob,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
okay, motion passes 5-0-0.
All right, so that approval will be on file in no more than 14 days, more likely in the next 2 to 3. Once it's on file in the town clerk's office, there is a 20-day appeal period on the special permit portion of that. Once the appeal period runs, you're going to need to have that final set of plans ready, including a sheet with all waivers and conditions of approval on it, ready for the board's endorsement, and that will be the record set of plans.
Okay, thank you, Jen. I'd like to have a motion to close this hearing.
So moved.
Okay, Wally, second.
Second.
Second by Kyle. A vote, Wally,
Wally Baker, aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergson, aye.
Mike Gagan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Okay, this hearing closes 5-0-0. Thank you. And good luck with your project.
Welcome to.
Thank you.
Thank you to the board and to Jen for all your time. Much appreciated.
bet.
Okay, we're gonna be moving on the agenda to endorse the Blackstone Logistics Center plan.
Okay, should be somewhere on somebody's table there someplace, a big old set of plans. All you need to do is a motion to endorse those plans, and just put in the most recent date you see on those plans, and then you can just sign them all at the end of the meeting.
Okay. This is Bob Largis, I'll make that motion. And the date that I can see, let's see, June 14th. Let me just go. June 14th, 2021,
That looks like the most recent date.
that I can see. Let's see if I
Okay.
can-
All right, so motion to endorse the Blackstone Logistics Center final plan
14th,
This revision right
yeah.
here.
that's
dated
6/14.
6/14/21.
6:10.
6/10.
I thought you said you saw 6/14.
Well, it's stamped 14th, but the revision note.
Oh, the actual date is 6/10. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
And I'll make
The
that-
mo- Bob made the
that's a
motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Kyle seconds it. We're gonna take a vote. Wally,
Aye.
Kyle,
Kyle Bergson, aye.
Mike Gagan, aye. Bob,
Aye.
okay, and Scott.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0-0. The board will sign the documents
many
at the end
people
of the
sign?
meeting. Bob is gonna begin signing.
How many people signed? Everyone?
All five of us,
Everyone?
yes, yep.
Okay.
Okay,
well, not Kyle, because Kyle wasn't in on that public hearing, so have Bill
So
sign
I
it.
can't,
so,
I can't
so
make
Bill
that
will
second.
sign in place, okay. Okay, thank you, Jen.
Oh, Kyle, no, it's administrative. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Hey, I don't have to sign, I'm happy.
The next action item is Burnhap portion of road acceptance recommendation. Jen, do you want to say anything on this?
Yeah, let me share that image with you.
Yeah, we have nothing.
All right, so Burnap Road, when you come out of Burnap Road and you're staring at Central Turnpike, you know there's this, can you see that okay? There's the little leg that goes to the left, and then there's the leg that goes to the right, and there's the triangle in between. If you look at the plan you were provided, it says in Dave LaValle's very distinct writing that we accepted that little leg in 1850 something. But there's really no paperwork. There's no, it's not official. It's not clear. It's not clean, nothing about it. So, and right now, because of all that, this yellow area is still owned by Deborah Kaczynski, who is willing to just give this whole area, both the triangle and the leg, to the town so that we can accept this all as part of the public way layout and do with it as we please moving forward, including, looking at some point in the future to make this a safer intersection. So the Board of Selectmen voted their intention to lay out this, basically this alteration is the term, this part of Burnap Road, and they have to seek your formal recommendation. So they're just looking for you to recommend or not recommend at town meeting that the Board of Selectmen lay this out as part of the public way, and that town meeting accept it as part of the public way. So that's required by law for the Board of Selectmen to refer it for your recommendation. And then at their next meeting, they will sign a layout order, put it on file, and then town meeting ultimately has to vote to adopt this section of Burnap Road as a public way. And at which point Ms. Kaczynski will deed this over to the town and will complete the whole transaction. So just looking for your recommendation to the Board of Selectmen on whether the town should move forward with adopting this as part of the Burnap Road public way.
Okay.
Awesome.
Has Mr. Kaczynski been paying taxes all this time on this parcel?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's chapter 61 property, all of this property up here. So reduced taxes, but yes, I believe, and Nick can correct me or confirm that this was still, I think, shown as part of the overall property total, but yes, no, maybe.
Well, we appreciate his generosity.
Hey, technically, right now, if he owns that, doesn't that make him responsible for clearing and upkeeping that section of the road?
We're not even going there.
Well, I'm saying that's why it's a good administrative item to get done, because sure, he owns a little bit of liability if something were to happen on that section of the road as well.
And I thought I remember seeing this before, and figured that was town property, so.
Yeah.
whatever, I guess.
We're gonna clear that all up.
Yes, we should
Any-
move forward.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments from anyone in the public in person or on the Zoom world on this? Okay, hearing none, entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we recommend town meeting approve this.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. A second?
Second.
Second by Wally. Okay, we're gonna take this to a vote. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Childburst and I.
Okay. Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0-0.
Right.
Moving on to the next administrative items. We have board minutes from the last meeting on 8/23/21. I don't know if anyone has any comments or any errors they possibly saw in them. If not, we'll entertain a motion to vote to approve these minutes.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of August 23rd.
Okay, thank you.
2021.
I'll second that.
Second by Kyle. All for a vote. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Albert's and I.
Okay. Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
And Scott?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes 5-0-0 to accept the meeting minutes from 8:23:21.
One, Scott, you have to abstain on that when you weren't here.
All abstained.
Sorry, Scott. One
Just so that
abstention.
it gets recorded right.
Sure.
That's what you missed. That's right.
So it'll be
You heard
four,
about the committee. but
the vote will be 4-0-1 abstention. Motion does pass. The next item is to acknowledge a filing for 48 Hartness Road, an accessory apartment. Jen, you had some comments on this?
Oh no, I just wanted to have the board acknowledge that, and then I don't have my meeting file in front of me. But this should be, what's today? This should be for the first meeting in October. I know that Mike had some thoughts he wanted to share about in-person meeting versus hybrid meeting. Having sat with you guys last night in the very small original meeting room. So I don't know if you want to discuss that now or discuss it after the meeting, but I know there were some concerns with the size of that meeting room.
Sure, this is Mike Egan. I had some discussions with Jen regarding the meetings going forward in the near future. In the meeting room we had last night, it cannot be hybrid, so it's only in person. There is, as of now, there is no shields or glass like we do have in this room. And we are pretty close together, so, you know, I raised some concerns of whether we should possibly move the meeting night temporarily to another night where this larger room is available, where people can be hybrid as well. And again, a little bit more separation for the board members and the public who do attend. So we just kind of wanted to throw that out there. If other board members have comments on it, either, you know, share them now if you have any.
And that would be when you have a conflict with school committee.
Right, when there is a conflict, right? Which is not every time, Jen, is that correct, or is it every other?
Not
time?
every time.
Okay. Wally, any thoughts on it?
Well, the meeting last night, there were, you know, 5 of us, and we were all, you know, within, you know, elbows of
Right.
each other. And I think some of us have situations in the family sense that makes us more critical to stay safe. So I would say we should stay safe.
Okay. Anything, Kyle, on this?
No, we're just gonna get confused and changing the meeting nights if
Right.
Tuesday night's available, if we just wanna move to Tuesday for now, I don't know what that looks like, but flip-flopping might get confusing for both me
Right, no, I agree.
and other people.
I agree.
It's-
Bob, any comments on the?
I wasn't at the meeting last night.
Okay.
Can this stuff go over there? Is that?
Ben, this one?
That desk isn't
It
even
would
big
fit,
enough for
yeah.
5 people, exactly.
Yeah, that's the problem, so we have to come
So
here.
no one wants to take the first line?
Oh, that's his.
Yeah.
Oh.
Bill, any thoughts on this?
No, I concur, even though I do like the other meeting, but, room, but the confines, I agree. This is much better.
Okay. Scott, anything? Any comments at this point on this?
I'm flexible.
Okay, thanks, Scott. So Jen, I don't know if you could possibly look into how difficult that would be rescheduling them to, you know, would it be flip-flopping Monday, Tuesdays, or could we possibly go just to Tuesday, or how would that work out?
All right, I'll
we
talk
have-
to Tammy, and she and I, or she by
We have
herself.
a,
with
We
the
have a
town
comment
clerk.
here, Jen, before you.
Hey, Jen,
Okay.
I just thought I'd jump into the microphone so you could hear
Good.
me. So certainly plexiglass can be ordered, but that room is tight. Like, I'm thinking it's more appropriate for something like the Historical Commission that only has 3 members, that there's only a few boards. I will tell you, like Jen and I have already brainstormed about this, and the school committee's calendar is set through the end of their school year in 2022. So I suggested to Jen that she really take that into consideration when she is developing your calendar for 2022. You do have, there are 2 conflicts in October because October is a weird month because there's a holiday on a Monday and town meeting is on a Monday. So the other 2 Mondays, school committee is booked. And then the next set of conflicts that you have is in December because I think school committee is preparing for their budget meetings for the following spring. They have 3 meetings scheduled, so basically the 3 Mondays prior to Christmas, just so you guys can take that into consideration.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'm sad that I have this information off the top of my head.
Thank you. Jen, you were speaking there?
Yeah, I think as you can hear, Pam's got all the dates in her head, never mind on paper. So I'm thinking Tammy and I can work with Pam and Chris and Laura if need be, and try to kind of rough out some dates, knowing what's coming at us in the next few months, and try to work around. I mean, ideally by staying on Mondays and maybe just shifting, but if it looks like that's going to be an issue, maybe we shift to a different night for a solid span of time instead of kind of going back and forth unless it's critical.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
So again, we do acknowledge the filing, and Jen, we'll come up with the exact date and time for that hearing.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The final bit is a correspondence. Wally, my understanding is you had attended a meeting. Do you want to make any comments on the meeting at this time? If I'm not catching you off guard.
I didn't see it on the agenda, so I didn't prepare. Okay. But having said that, there was a meeting in the Central Mass Regional Planning, I think it was a week ago, 9th, it was a Thursday. And basically, they're initiating a forward-looking plan for 2050. And the last time there was a plan done, it was 2000 for 2020. I'd say this is basically 2040. Of course, it has to change over the time. There were 2 or 3 items that came up. It will take 4 years to put this plan together. That was one of them. Some other issues that were just brought up. And when I'm at the next meeting, I'll give you an outline of the major overall goals here. But nobody thought of the whole COVID issue. This just came in, as we all know, out of the blue 18 months ago or whenever it was. And it did expose some, I call them relatively serious issues, especially in the area of communication. We have communities here in the 18 towns that don't have any internet, or very random internet, and you're trying to get a hold of the boards of health and people, to see, to contact them, give them support, and, it becomes a real problem. If they're not standing in the right place, they can't, not even on a cell phone, they can't talk. So that was just something that did come up, or actually the whole COVID thing, which goes into the area of what they call natural disasters. It could be, something unforeseen, fire, tornado, or something. So it was that type of thing, and also to keep the whole area livable. And one thing that did come out of the census, and I don't know if you saw this, but Worcester's population, it was 180,000 in 2010. They thought it was going to go to 186. It went to 206. These are the type of issues that you think you're planning on, but obviously you underestimated or maybe you overestimated.
In what period of time?
Pardon?
What period of time?
10 years.
10 years?
Which is pretty significant. It's significantly past Providence at this point in population, the second biggest city in New England.
Right.
Providence didn't grow much, a few thousand, but when you figure 180, you get 25,000. What's that, 15%? That's pretty significant. And there are issues like the environment, equality, just general large things. They are prepared to support us. I think they've hired some more staff, and they're doing well on getting grants. Transportation is a big issue in a lot of places. Maybe more, Route 9, Route 20, Worcester. I don't know. And then some of the more rural communities have their issues. I don't know if issue is the right word, situations. So it's
Truck
basically,
traffic
yeah,
in the Blackstone Valley.
well, that, yeah, okay, truck traffic in one year, 146 probably. Truck traffic probably isn't a thing in Barry because it's so far from everything, however they designate where they want to put a warehouse. There's another meeting in November, and I'll give you the date.
Okay.
It'll be just a continuation of this. I did sign up to be part of this. I haven't heard anything back. And there's supposed to be a website. I tried to find it, and I couldn't find it, so I don't, apparently it hasn't been put up there yet.
Okay.
When we get that, I'll certainly share that with everybody, so we can see what's going on, what their plans are. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Wally, for attending and updating the board. Appreciate it. Any other comments by board members tonight? All set. Okay. Entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Kyle, second?
Second.
Okay, second by Scott, was that? Scott,
Yeah.
okay. Gonna take a vote. Wally?
Aye.
Kyle?
Kyle Bergson, aye.
Mike Gagan, aye. Bob?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Okay, this meeting is closed, 5:00. Thank you and good night, everybody. Thank you,
Good
Jen,
night.
for joining us.
Thank you,
Bet.
Jen.
Good night. Thank you.
See you, Jen. Hope you feel better.
Feel better.
Already on the mend.
You sound better.
Take care.